everyone. I see we have about half of us here today. Thank you for being here. I appreciate it. We're going to cover, after some sightseeing today, we're going to cover some one of the last intervals that we're going to study this semester. That's going to be the intervals of the seventh, the major and the minor seventh. And then after that, we have one final interval to do, and that'll just be the octave. And then we'll have covered all of the simple intervals, which is the goal to get through, one of the goals to get through in a course like this, Aural Skills 1. Just so you know, in Aural Skills 2 and following Aural Skills courses, I do not spend time going through intervals anymore. So this would be the only semester where we do that. I also want to let you know that I've got nothing to return to you today, and I'm not collecting anything today because I believe you had all the answers available to the rhythmic dictations on page 56. That is numbers 1 through 5. But I do want you to know that starting, let's see, today's Thursday, starting next week, I'm either going to be collecting ear training assignments each class, or instead of collecting, I may have a quiz in class. And I'm going to be doing that for the next probably 4 or 5 classes, just so you know that that's coming. Because that'll take us up pretty much close to the end of the semester, and that way I have at least 4 grades or so in the grade book for this unit. So starting next week, again, it'll be either I'll be collecting homework, ear training homework every class, or if I don't, then there'll probably be an ear training quiz or something in theory class. Okay? So you want to make sure you're here for that. You don't want to miss out on the grades that will be coming up, so that you can finish the semester strong. All right, so to get started today, if you would take out your sightseeing books and open up to page 31. I want to pick one of the melodies, of course, that I assigned for today as a vocal warm-up. And then after that, I've got 2 melodies that were assigned for today that I'd like to quiz on. And I'll be drawing 2 names from the bag. And we'll be seeing if whoever I draw, if those people are here or not today. So, on page 31, if you could, I could draw your attention to melody number 312 at the top of the page. This is, as you can tell by looking at it, you can tell it's in the key of E flat major. And we're going to, of course, sing the E flat major scale. We will arpeggiate the tonic triad, and then we'll go ahead and sing 312. By the way, I don't think we need to observe any of the repeats in 312. I think it's long enough as it is, so excuse me, we'll just sing right through it. I will attempt to sing this scale pretty high today, since I don't think I can do it that low. All right, so let's start with the E flat major scale. Here we go, ready? Do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do, ti, la, sol, fa, mi, re, do. Do, mi, sol, mi, do. Very nice. We're going to start on sol, preferably a low sol. So if you can think of that pitch to yourself. And this will be a hand signing example. We're going to start on beat 2. I'll give us a full measure of tempo plus 1 beat. And remember, don't observe the repeats, just sing straight through. Okay, there's my sol. 1, 2, 3, 1. Sol, do, mi, fa, sol, 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 compared to chapter 2, I would say the melodies in chapter 3 are just a little bit harder, a little bit more challenging. And that's kind of how the book is designed, of course, so that as we progress through the book, the melodies keep gradually getting a little more challenging as we go along. Okay? All right, so let's see. As I said, today I'm going to quiz on 2 melodies today. The 2 melodies I'd like to hear today are 310 and then also 314. So both of these melodies will be hand signing examples this morning. All right. Now, I can always ask for volunteers from those of you that are here before I draw 2 names if you'd like. Otherwise, I'll just go to the bag and draw the names. So do let me know if you want to get yours out of the way and get it done. Okay, let me get a volunteer. Which one would you like, 310 or 314? 310. 310, okay. Do I have any other volunteers before I draw 1 name now? Going once. Okay, are you going to take 314?
Sure.
All right, sounds good. Hey, I don't even need to draw me. Wonderful. Okay, so on 310, or on page 30, I should say, melody 310. Let me ask Sammy, what key are you in?
Okay.
Yes, that's correct. Let's see if you can do a scale between here and here. And let's see where you begin for the melody. You begin on a sol. Can you find your upper sol? Okay. Careful not to go too far. Let me see if I can check your do again. Okay. Do, re, mi, fa, sol. Yeah, there you go. That's a sol. All right, and it looks like you start on beat 3, and yours is a hand signing example. So whenever you're ready. Yes.
Okay.
Yes. And I think you can reach that too, because you just sang the scale, so. Can you sing that high?
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you, not bad at all. The first time you had to get to the mi, that was in, I guess, the first full measure, the mi was a little flat or a little saggy. But then after that, you got the mi on, and then you went up to get the flat. That was really good, okay? Also, careful about the hand signs. I know it's easy to get re and mi confused or switched around. So be careful about that. Mi is the flat one, re is the angled one there. Okay. All right, thank you. Let's go on to, oh, I gotta turn my page. Page 31, melody 314. Becca said she would tackle this one. And what key are you in, Becca? That's right, you're in A flat major. So you'll be, basically where Sammy was singing just a half step lower. Here's your A flat. said before, yours is hand signing also. So whenever you're ready. That was pretty good. Just make sure you hold the first note rhythmically long enough, that's all. Okay, where's the mi? How high is that? There you go. Can you start on that second full measure with the half notes?
Yeah.
Okay.
No, I didn't know that in the beginning.
No, that sounds right. Very nice. Okay, I remember that I think I said last class that this one has a pretty wide range. It does. It goes all the way down to a low mi at the beginning, but then all the way up to a high sol at the end. So good. That is not an easy melody. It's a workhorse. You kind of gotta be strong to get through that one. So good job. I think this is one of the harder melodies that we've had so far this semester. Yeah, it's a workhorse. Thank you very much. I think you did a good job on it. All right. Now, no more quizzing today, but I do, as I usually do, I want to go through a melody, sing through a melody that's assigned for next class. And as I looked at the melodies that I've assigned for next class, every single one of them, I believe, is a canon. Or every one you could say that I assigned could be sung as a round, however you want to think about it. Okay? So, excuse me, if you would turn to page 32. And let's look at the last melody I assigned for next week, and that is melody 319. Melody 319, it says it's a round or a canon for 3 voices. I would like to attempt that, but I certainly don't want to do that right away. I'd like to have us sing through the melody, let's say maybe a couple times first, so we can get somewhat familiar with it. And then after we do that together, then we'll divide up into groups, 3 groups, and we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We'll have to do 3 groups of about 2 or 3 people each. All right? So, we've got our work cut out for us, a task in front of us that we're going to try to reach and make. So 319 is in what key? Anyone who can tell me? B flat major, that's right. Maybe I should just bring up some kind of electronic tuner or maybe a pitch pipe or something that I don't have to go all the way over there. I can just play the note in front of you. Does, for those of you that are in choir, does Dr. Armstrong ever use his, he doesn't use his pitch? Well, I guess he's got an accompanist with him, so he doesn't need to do that. All right, let's all sing the B flat major scale first, and then arpeggi, and then we'll look at melody 319. Here we go. Do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do, ti, la, sol, fa, mi, re, do. Do, mi, sol, mi, do. Now notice in measure 3, just as you scan this melody, notice in measure 3 you have an ascending octave leap from mi to low mi to high mi, if you want to think of it that way. Notice in measure 4 you have another octave leap. This time it's descending from a high do down to a low do. So we're going to be, this melody kind of goes all over the place, but I think we can handle it. So let's read through it together. We'll sing it a couple times, and then, as I said, we'll break into 3 groups and see how we do. So it starts on do, and this is a conducting example. Can you, if you look at the first measure, can you kind of hear how that goes? Can you hear the? You see how that first leap is do, mi, right? Okay, it's not stepwise all the way. It's first of all there's a small leap. Here we go. How about a tempo of 1, 2, and read. Do, mi, fa, sol, fa, mi, re, do, re, mi, fa, sol, fa, mi, re, do. Wow, it seems like it's such a smooth melody, except for measure 3. All of a sudden you get these huge, ginormous leaps going up, and then coming way back down, and then after that it's almost like you're home free. It's just stepwise after that. Let's check our pitch. Pretty good. In fact, the more this piano gets out of tune, I think the better we're going to sound than the piano eventually. All right, can we sing through it one more time? And then try to break up into groups of like 2 people apiece maybe and see how it goes. All right, one more time through together. 1, 2, and sing. Do, mi, fa, sol, fa, mi, re, do, re, mi, fa, sol, fa, mi, re, do. Alright, this is going to be fun. Wow, we don't have our full forces here today. So, let's try. So that I guess I will try to sing with one group, and whichever group I sing with, don't necessarily rely on me all the time because I may switch and move to a different group mid-melody. Okay? So, but let's try you two and myself. So Lauren, Tyler, and myself will be the leaders of this kin. And then when we get to measure 2, I want Kelsey and I want Caitlin. You be a group. You start at the beginning. And then when they get to measure 2, I want Sammy and I want Becca to be a group. You start at the beginning. Now, we're going to be the leaders of this. So when we get to the end, I would like us to work on staggering our breathing. Can we just kind of hold that last pitch do? Can we hold it for 2 or 3 measures and wait until the final group gets to the last measure and finish together? All right. Is this an impossible task? No. We can do this. You just got to be up for it. Okay. So I'm going to start with this small group over here, and I'll try to give you guys a cue when you come in at the beginning, and I'll try to give you guys a cue when you become at the beginning. Okay, everybody conducting. Here we go. 1, 2, 3. Do, mi, fa, sol, si, mi, re, sol, do, re, mi, fa, sol, fa, mi, re, sol. time, if you don't mind. See if we can even improve it or clean it up just a smidge. And then I think that'll be good. We'll move on to your training after that. Okay, so one more time through. Here we go. 1, 2, 3. Do, mi, fa, sol, fa, mi, re, sol, do, re, mi, fa, sol, fa, mi, re, content with that. I'm glad. Good job. What other majors can you actually come to class and actually sing and perform music in an ensemble? I mean, I know this isn't the best one for that. Choir and band are, of course, better for that kind of thing. But, I mean, yeah, you can't, I don't know, I just don't see how you can beat music in terms of a major. Although I'm a little biased. I think it's superior to the others. All right, so maybe next class, next week, if we have time, we'll be able to sing through one more of those canons. Perhaps next week we'll have students in here, so we'll have greater strength in numbers. The only other thing I would like to mention, Melody 317 has a wide range again. This one has a wide range just like the one that Becca sang this morning, although this one's maybe just a smidge even wider. It goes from a really low do all the way up to a really high sol. So just be careful about Melody 317. If the key that it's written in does not work well for your vocal range, choose a key that would work a little better, and let me know next week. Okay. All right, very good. Let's move on to some ear training. I'll eventually give you a page number in your ear training book that we'll go to, but I want to do a little bit of explaining, a little bit of discussion and teaching about one of our final intervals that we need to secure and be able to hear and identify by ear. So today I'd like to talk a little bit about the major and the minor seventh. The major and the minor seventh. I think if I want to write these melodically, I can maybe write them melodically. And then we have a number here. I just picked arbitrary pitches for the major and the minor seventh. I started on C. You can see that this interval here that I have on the board is an example of a minor seventh, from C up to B flat. The next measure I have an example of a major seventh, which of course that distance is a half step wider than the minor seventh interval, and so C to B natural would be an example of a major seventh. What is the set or pair of intervals that we started with in this class, which are inversions of sevenths?
Do and T.
Say again?
Do and T.
Yeah, but what intervals are inversions of sevenths? Seconds.
Seconds, yeah.
Right, yeah, that was the set of intervals we started with, right? We started with major and minor seconds. Well, now we're finally getting to the end of close to the end of the spectrum of intervals. We've done all the other ones in between. Now we're doing the inversion of seconds, which is the major and minor sevenths. Now, just as seconds are highly dissonant, so are sevenths. Sevenths are dissonant intervals. They generally, you can argue it, but most people would agree that sevenths do not sound that pleasing to the ear. They do not sound that pleasing to the ear. Okay? Let me go ahead and play these ascending intervals on the piano so you can hear a slight difference between them. talk about some other things about them. So the first one, that's the minor, ascending minor seventh. And then slightly bigger is the major seventh. This is not official, and you probably won't, I don't think you'll see it in any textbooks. But to me, the minor seventh sounds like it's a moderate or a softer dissonance, and the major seventh sounds like it's much more dissonance, much more pungent, a harsher dissonance. So here's minor seventh, which has a little bit of a rounded, soft dissonance, and here is a harder dissonance, the major seventh. Sounds a little more striking or severe to me. That's one way that I listen for the difference between those. Okay. Again, you do not have to have this with you or take it out, but I always go back to this sheet here that has some familiar melodies that begin or open with these intervals that we're focusing on. I gave you that many, many weeks ago. If you were to look at that, the only melody that I'm familiar with in the minor seventh ascending category is a tune from West Side Story called Somewhere, otherwise known as There's a Place for Us. I don't know if any of you know that melody or have heard it before. If you have, it can help you identify the sound of an ascending minor seventh. Okay. There's a place for us. Have you ever heard that too? That's an ascending minor seventh. Okay? The descending minor seventh, I don't know, theme from American in Paris. And then what I'm left with on this sheet says, it says Do down to Re. Well, obviously that's not a familiar song, unless you want to write a composition, compose a piece that's entitled Do down to Re. But for instance, let's say we're in the key of C. This would be a descending minor seventh. From Do down to Re. And just because we don't have a good melody for this one, could we all sing and use our hand sign and practicing just a few times the high Do down to a Re? Okay, I'll sing with you. Okay, let's start with the high Do. Here we go. Do, Re, Do, Re. One more time. Do, Re. Yeah, it's a really awkward interval. It's a big interval, but certainly a necessary interval for us to learn and understand. By the way, before I forget, I should mention that sevenths, these are going to be the widest or the largest intervals that we're learning to date. In fact, it's going to be the largest interval that we ever listen to except for the perfect octave. Okay? Except for the perfect octave. So, when you hear a dissonant interval, when I go to the piano and I play an interval that doesn't sound that great, that pleasing to the ear, one of the things you can do to help narrow down the field as to what type of interval it is ask yourself, does it sound like this is a spacious interval? Is there a lot of space or distance between the two pitches? If it sounds like there's a lot of space between them, and it's a distant interval, chances are it's going to be a seventh of some kind. But if it's not, or excuse me, if it's a dissonant interval and there's not a lot of space between the notes, in fact hardly any space at all, it's probably going to be a second. Right? And then there's only one other dissonant interval that's the space is right in between.
With the tritone, right?
That's right, the tritone. So we've got hardly any space at all. Dissonant interval would be a second. Medium-sized space that's dissonant interval would be a tritone. And then a large space or wide space that's a dissonant interval is going to be a seventh. Going to be a seventh. Okay? Let's see here. So we did the Do down to Re for that one. Let me talk a little bit more about the minor seventh. We haven't gotten to this exactly in theory, but The minor well, part of it we have. The minor seventh is actually found as the outer notes of a dominant seventh chord, or 5/7 chord. Because isn't a dominant seventh chord a major minor seventh? Right? So if it's a major minor seventh, by definition, the outer notes would form the interval that we're looking at here, that is the minor seventh. So if you can hear, that's the sound of a dominant or major minor seventh. Usually it's in the form of, depending on the keys, usually it's sol, ti, re, fa. And this interval of the minor seventh right here has a tendency to want to resolve inward. And what I mean by that is this. Let's say this interval, the minor seventh here, likes to resolve to something like this, more constant. This goes down, this comes way up. And this obviously is an example of a third. Let's see if I can illustrate what I mean here at the piano. Okay. Here's the 5/7, the dominant seventh sound. And the outer notes form that minor seventh. Right? Gives a little more context. How does this minor seventh want to resolve? Because it's distant, it wants to go to something more constant and stable. It likes to go to that, the third that I have written down on the board. So a minor seventh to my ears and to any musician, they'll tell you it likes to resolve inward, collapse on itself, and resolve to a smaller interval that's more constant and more stable. Yes?
Can you play the whole major minor seventh chord as a whole and then do the top and bottom?
Okay? Like,
Play like bam. Like play them all together.
okay? And then play this. Yeah. In fact, I've even, we could even try this, and that is start singing, we're in the key of F major, start singing from here, and just kind of do all this. In other words, we could sing sol, ti, re, fa, mi, do. Can we do that? Let's do that so we can feel and hear the resolution. Okay, I'll do it with hand signs. Ready? Sol, ti, re, fa, mi, do. Yeah. Now, by contrast, the major seventh, I feel, has a tendency to want to resolve upward. Because the closest consonants to a major seventh is when this pitch goes up just by a half step, and we end up with a perfect octave. So when I play a major seventh from here to here, I don't hear that as wanting to collapse on itself and resolve inward. I hear it wanting to resolve outward to something more stable like this. Isn't that nice? That's satisfying. This is nasty. But then that resolves the tension. So a major seventh to an octave. All right, so one of the last things I want us to sing is, I want us to sing do, ti, do. Can we do that? Let's try that together. Ready? Do, ti, do. If you can hear do, do, then you can hear a half step below this high do. Then you know where T is, and you know what a major seventh sounds like. Okay, one more time. Ready? Do, ti, do. All right. Let's try something like this. Let's have half of the class sing do, and the other half of the class sing T above for this really nice crunchy dissonance. And then after that, I'm going to have the students that are singing T. I want you to just go up a half step and resolve it, and we'll all be at a perfect octave. Okay, so let's try this. you three in the back, 1, 2, 3. Could you sing, and we're going to do this in C. Could you sing do, and could you hold do? So in other words, you three in the back are going to do this. Then I'm going to have the rest of the class go like this. And then they're going to come up and do this. I want to try this. I think I try this every year. I think I do. All right, so ready? You guys, I'll get you started sing with you, and then I'll move and I'll sing with them, because they're going to sing the T, the dissonance.
Got it.
Okay, ready? Sing and hold, you guys. Okay, so I talked about ascending minor seventh somewhere. In other words, the song There's a Place for Us. For ascending major seventh, I have a couple things that I can use for that. Again, this is going to be before your time. And this movie came out when I was a kid. But, excuse me, have you ever seen any of the Superman movies with Christopher Reeve? Okay. The composer for the film score for those movies was John Williams. And one of the famous parts of the Superman theme is an ascending major seventh. I don't know if you've ever heard that, but if you have, I can help you with the major seventh. Right? No, that's Star Wars, I'm sorry. But anyways, yeah. That's the Superman. Yeah, that's the Superman.
So is Star Wars a major seventh then?
No, Star Wars is an ascending perfect fifth.
Okay, I was like,
Yeah, it seems like it's really close, right? But Star Wars is. Now I can't think of it. Because I'm getting it mixed up with the Superman theme. Oh, yeah. Okay, but this is a perfect fifth.
What's the what's that one?
In the Star Wars theme?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a minor seventh, so. That's a minor seventh. Is that what you're asking
Yeah.
about? Yeah. That's a minor seventh. That's right. Oh, and then I almost forgot the best one. But the major seventh, ascending major seventh, comes from, again, this is before your time, but maybe you've heard of the song Take On Me by Aha. That's an ascending major seventh. And it goes, you know, if you've heard that. Yeah, some of you were humming it. That's nice. Okay. Okay, I haven't spent too much time with it. All right, the last thing I think I'd like to do then is I'd like to go to page 13 in your ear training book. Page 13. Page 13 is all about the sevenths, major and minor sevenths. And I'd like to go through 10 intervals to finish up today. First of all, we'll do numbers 1 through 5, which is just hearing the difference between major and minor sevenths. And then I'd like to do, let's see, no, I'd like to do all sevenths today. I don't even want to do any of the cumulative ones. Yeah, I'd like to do all sevenths today.
What page?
Page 13 in your ear training book. Page 13. Any of the things we talked about that helps you determine or distinguish between the sound of a minor seventh and a major seventh, please use that. Please use that. Okay, so we're going to start with 1 through 5, right at the top of the page. And you know how I play intervals. First I play them together, then I'll play the notes separately. So number one, do your best, sounds like this. Number two, sounds like this. Yeah, you might be surprised at how many sounds the brain can remember and distinguish. Number three sounds like this. Number four. Number five. Yes,
Can you play 3 one more time?
sure can. Number three sounded like this. Can we skip down to number 11? We'll just do 5 more, 11 through 15. Same thing, still seventh, major or minor seventh. Here's number 11. Number 12. Number 13. Number 14. And finally, number 15 for today. I don't know if this one, if that works for you to hear it resolve seventh chord. Not a dominant seventh chord. And in that context, it makes, to me, it makes the major seventh sound just a little more tolerable. Yes,
Okay, so weird question.
yes.
Is there any reason why our brain wants to resolve up or down for certain things? Is it just like what we've been trained to hear?
Well,
Or is it like this?
I think it's got to do with tendency tones. There's like for instance in the major scale, we have like for instance if I just write up a quick C major scale, there are some tendency tones in the C major scale, especially this one. That's scale degree 7, and because it's only a half step away from the strongest pitch with the gravitational pull, so to speak, the tonic, it has a tendency to just want to go up like that. And then even scale degree 4, you'll read some books, that's a tendency tone, it's a weaker tendency tone. But because it's only a half step above something much more stable, like mi, or the third of the tonic triad, it has a tendency to want to go down like that. And so if I play both, in the C major scale, if I play both scale degree 4 and scale degree 7, what do those two notes, what interval do those two notes create if I play them together, F and B natural? They create an augmented fourth, or a tritone, right? And so if you hear this, especially in the context of a key, if you hear this, doesn't it sound like it wants to resolve outward to this? Yeah, so it's built in. It's kind of the way, it's a natural tendency, I guess, that's kind of built in. And I think a lot of it has to do with the proximity to more stable notes, just a half step away and another half step away. So that's partly, I think, an answer to your question. Let's go over the answers really quickly. Number 1 was a minor 7th. Number 2 was a minor 7th. 3 was a major 7th. 4 was a minor 7th. 5 was a major 7th. Okay. Then down 11 through 15. 11 was a major 7th. 12 was a minor 7th. 13 was minor 7th. 14 was major 7th. And 15 was a minor 7th. So your ear training homework for next week, for next Tuesday, is going to be page 14, the whole page. 7's on the top. What is mentioned by numbers 16 through 25 on all the interval pages? They're cumulative. So that means it'll include all the other, could include all the other intervals as well that we've studied. All right, thanks guys. That's all the time we have. Have a good rest of your day. And I'll see a lot of you tomorrow for theory. No, I actually have about an hour before I have to come to another class. So.
There's probably one. But,
Should I turn off the video camera? Let me just make sure I do that. I'm very aware of this now.